Hello everybody and welcome back to the CD Toledo Youth Academy Only Challenge, and this is episode 61 and we're back before pre-season has even started. We're going to be evaluating the squad, looking at what we've got and seeing what systems may or may not work as we dive into this season and take it much more seriously. I say more seriously, more in depth. Let's have a look. Yes, hello everybody, welcome back to the save, and as you can see we are on the club information page, and the first thing to draw your attentions to is that the club, which we have brought up from technically non-league, semi-professional, is now worth £1.06 billion. That's quite impressive. 306 million in the bank, a reputation of 4.5 star, training facilities 5 star, youth facilities 4.5 star, youth recruitment 5 star. We are actually in the Europa League this year. I thought it was going to be the Champions League, but France, Ligue 1, pipped us to that 5th Champions League spot in their league. So we stay there. We are professional and our squad personality is professional as well, which is something we'll go and touch on in just a minute when we're reviewing the squad. Our stadium is now 31,069 people capacity when full, which is lovely. It got an extension relatively recently. It got finished halfway through last year. Completely forgot to mention it, but it has been done. And yeah, we've generally had a pretty good record. 479 games played, 222 wins, 115 draws, 142 losses. A 46% win percentage is not bad at all. And looking at the sort of key personnel in the squad, as of right now, Crimson Mori's captain, Miguel is vice captain, Joel Pozzo is our key player, the right winger that we have, and Sergio Vallejo is our hot prospect, also a right winger, but only 15 years old, so we've got plenty of time to see him grow. We've got lots of friendlies lined up: Barcelona, Celta Vigo, Villarreal, Sevilla, Cadiz, Osasuna, Espanyol, some others in there as well. So yeah, that is how the club looks at the start of this season, and the year is 2042, so we are very deep into this game and into this series now. But yeah, we're predicted to finish 9th. We haven't actually finished below 6th, I think, since we've been in La Liga, other than our first season in La Liga. Highest is 4th. The first season I think we're in it, we finished 13th or 14th, something like that. But we're in a very good position, to be honest, and it's going very well in terms of not personnel. That's not what I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at general and try and find the thing that shows the... Oh yeah, they're right here. We are a legend at the club as manager, cultured left foot. Crimson Mori is a legend as a player. Constantino and Abel Galago are icons as players, and Raul Bravo and Miguel Moreno are up there as favoured personnel as well, which isn't too bad. Now, for those that have been following the series for quite a while, there's been quite a large number of staff changes this season. Marchena was our assistant manager. He's gone. He got poached by Barcelona. No, by Atletico Madrid, sorry. So we've brought in Fran Rico, who is a model citizen and has very good attributes as well in terms of helping us judge players and staff, and a bit of tactical knowledge in there. People management's not too bad. Good at motivating. Very determined. Don't really care about his coaching attributes. Got loads of coaches to do that. So yeah, he has taken over from Marchena in there. The other one to talk about is that Jesse Lingard didn't last long. He also got poached by someone else. So we've gone for Ignacio Ferri Julia, also known as Nacho Ferri. Doesn't have the greatest attributes, is a perfectionist. So we're going to see how he gets on as our head of youth development. Again, not a huge reputation. Let's see if we can get him on a coaching course just to get a bit more reputation and knowledge in there. But as you can see, all attributes going up. So it is making a difference, him being at our club. We'll give him a little bit of time, see how he gets on with that as well. We've hired a whole host of coaches, which now gives us the best coaching in every single attribute in the league, which is lovely as we just scan through all of these. A few names in there that you'll recognise: Florian Andone, Jorginho, Nabil Fekir, Marcus Rashford. They're all in there with, and Gabriel Palista, Stephen Clements, you might know, Yaya Toure, Thiago Mendes, all in there. So all doing a pretty good job, to be honest. We've also hired lots of physios. We've got 9 physios. We have 2 spaces for sports scientists, which we are just about hiring as well. They'll be in pretty soon as well. But I've not bothered with anything to do with scouting or recruitment because we're not allowed to buy anyone. So that stuff isn't worried about. We've got 1 scout who is just scouting the opposition, and a chief scout who tells me what the scout is saying about the opposition. So that's about it in terms of backroom staff. But what we wanted to do today in the meat and bones of this episode was to go through the staff and try and think about what we could use. The squad and the players. I am still just about getting over my illness. Apologies for how I sound, and if I say a few wrong things, brain isn't quite working as it should. But I wanted to crack on with this series because I've missed it. I've missed creating content while I've been ill, and obviously went away with my wife as well. If you follow me on Instagram or Discord and stuff like that, I would have posted in things in there as well. This, as it stands, is our first team squad. Now, one thing I think that stands out straight away from this is how many good personalities are left. The poorer or worse personalities have sort of drifted by the wayside. There's a couple still in it. Unambitious, not terrible, but unambitious is there. There's a fickle one in here as well, but again, that's not dreadful. But fairly professionals coming through, spirited, realist, driven, fully professional in there as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. That's something I wanted to draw to your attention, how much personalities do seem to play in youngsters and new gens coming through. It is generally the ones with better personalities who do end up making the first team squad. But the other thing to point out is obviously this squad is very small. So we are making room to bring youngsters in this season and give them spattering of sub appearances and things like that. We have 2 goalkeepers in our first team squad. Joe Page is standout, our number 1 goalkeeper, has been for a while. 320 appearances he's already made for the club, and he's only 26. Really good goalkeeper, has kept us in games numerous times. We've fended off interest from Saudi Arabia time and time again. Easily our number 1 goalkeeper. Don't even need to worry about it. Francisco, he's a good backup. He's happy to be a backup. He's the backup basically until one of these really good goalkeepers in our under-19s, where we've got Ivan Bueno, who came in our last youth intake, steps up and becomes of age and improves a little bit. Or we've even got David Padron in the B team, who's getting plenty of game time for the B team, 19 appearances last year, and he'll get more and more, already worth £13 million at the age of 20. So goalkeepers, we're fine. That's always good in a youth intake save to have goalkeepers coming through, and we seem to have a pretty good supply of them coming through. So let's have a look at the defenders then. So let's go through this in a proper manner. So looking at defenders only, we're not going to split it out by sides because we don't have that many here. So starting centre-backs last season were Andrew Neeson. Pretty good, to be honest. I mean, tackling could be better, heading could be better, marking is very, very good up there. We actually used him towards the end of the season to man mark certain people as well, which was good. Good bravery, concentration and decisions really good as well. Positioning is good, teamwork, all the good stats. He's got good attributes in all the right areas you need for a centre-back, other than probably tackling could be better. And jumping reach and balance, stamina, strength, all pretty good. He's even got pace and acceleration 11, so he's not slow. He's not really slow. But yeah, a pretty good job. Doesn't get too many goals, but did make 31 appearances last year for us. So Andrew Neeson's there. Liam Hollick is who partnered him generally at the back, 27 years old, worth up to £33 million. Weirdly can play as a pretty good left back as well, but we have been using him mainly in the centre back role. Again, only really let down by one attribute, and in his case is his heading. Marking's very good at 15, tackling 12 is okay. Teamwork, positioning, determination, decisions, concentration, bravery, anticipation, all looking really good. And physicals are exemplary. Stamina 16, pace 14, jumping reach 14, agility 14, acceleration 14, strength 12. He's really, really good. So he normally plays on the left, even though he is left-footed. He plays on the left, and on the right is Andrew Neeson. But you can see his personality, late developer. So that is in there that he's improved later on in his career, which is pretty cool to see. Now, there will be some strange cuts as I get coughs out and things like that. On the right-hand side, we are a little bit thin on the ground. We have Xavi, who is also our sort of backup option for centre-back. Again, all-round stats are pretty good. Heading 8 is what lets him down as a centre-back, if we just highlight the centre-back attributes. Marking 14, tackling 13. Really good. Heading's a bit low. But anticipation, bravery, concentration, decisions, positioning. Jumping reach 15. Pace is a bit slow as well. Strength, stamina, acceleration, all looking good as well. And at right back, can do a job, not really in any sort of attacking sense. No pace, can't cross, can't really pass. Teamwork's low, work rate's low, off the ball is low, so he's not going to be pushing up, anything like that. He's sort of a defensive fullback, if you will, or mainly used as a centre-back. So he will be our third choice centre-back this season. May have a look in at right back, depending on what systems we line up with. So we'll see how that goes. We've got Kike Andreas, who can play right and left back. He's probably our full gusto attacking right-sided fullback if we want to use one. And you can see why. Pace 15, acceleration 13, crossing 14, dribbling 13, marking 15, tackling 15, technique 13, work rate 16, teamwork 13, positioning 15. I mean, he's brilliant. The chances are he might even play left back as well because he's actually left-footed. He does lack a bit of height and jumping reach, which could be problematic for crosses towards the back post, whichever side he's playing. But generally, if we're going to be playing an attacking fullback or wing back on one side, it's going to be this guy in Kike Andreas because he looks very, very good. Pascal Labaudet is another option at centre-back, probably our fourth choice centre-back. I'm tempted to replace him by someone from the youth team. But again, he has decent attributes to come in and out of the team. Marking 13, tackling 15, heading 9 is a bit disappointing. Concentration and decisions are both good though. Aggression's good. Bravery's a bit low, but positioning is very good as well. Jumping reach is good, just lacks a bit of the acceleration, although does have 11 for pace. So it's not too bad, but again, wouldn't play him at right back unless we're looking for a defensive option because of that crossing is really bad, acceleration's bad, agility's bad, teamwork and work rate's bad. So happy for him to be an option at sort of centre-back or a very defensive right-back, but that's all he's going to be. He's not going to be anywhere near the first team unless we have serious injuries. Next up then, Phil Lewis, left-back, did make a handful of appearances last season, 16 last season, 13 the year before that. Might get a bit more of a look in this year because Aaron Wall left and has now got a new gen. He went to Sevilla on a free. But again, probably back up to Kike Andreas on the left. But if we're playing a system with two attacking fullbacks, he'll start on the left. Kike Andreas will start on the right. But yeah, lacks a little bit. Crossing 9, acceleration 10. Got a good bit of pace and stamina, but everything else is middling of the road for the squad, really, isn't it? He can do a bit defensive. He can do a bit attacking. Yeah, not a first team player, but definitely going to get minutes this year at the club. And then finally, in a defensive in a sort of centre-back role, but we more use him as a holding midfielder, is Miguel, the vice-captain at the club. Again, it's a bit halfway house, middle of the road, isn't it? Tackling, marking, passing, first touch, all really good. Mentals look generally really, really good. Physicals are where he lacks. Like no pace, no agility, no acceleration. But playing through that middle, don't ask him to do much rather than win the ball back and try be an effective sort of destructive force in there. Could be pretty useful. Jumping reach 12 is pretty good, but then he's injury prone, doesn't like big matches, and is not quite right at the right level. So Miguel, vice captain, probably won't get too much game time this season and is injured as well. So moving on to the defensive midfielders, we've already touched on Miguel. Don't need to look at Kike Andreas. Andrew Neeson we've looked at. These three that we're going to look at are probably the three of the best players at the club in terms of what they can do. We've been using them as just defensive midfielders on support for a basically majority of their career. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into these three because Akinde, I think, can offer us something else. Marking 13, tackling 11, technique 13, passing 11, first touch 11, concentration, composure, bravery, aggression, anticipation, decisions, determination, positioning, teamwork, vision, work rate. His mentals are great. Physical, beast. Really, really good. Absolute workhorse in there. If we need something doing for energy, he's our man. Next up, Dave Supreme. Really, really good player who I think we have been using pretty much incorrectly for the whole of his career at the club. Again, using him just as a holding midfielder with no real standout direction of how to play. When you actually look at his attributes, passing 16, technique 16, vision 17, work rate, teamwork 15, decisions 15, concentration 15, anticipation 17. We need to try and get him on the ball. His first touch is 15, passing 16, technique 16, vision 17. He is going to be very, very creative, and we're going to try and use that. I think, we'll touch on what we're going to do with training-wise a bit later on in another episode, but I've got a feeling he could be a sort of playmaker-ish player in holding midfield, potentially a roaming playmaker. Off the ball isn't brilliant, but his other attributes mark him out to be really good. He can win the ball in the air. He's a little bit slow, but he's strong. He can tackle. He can pass. He can do everything we want him to do in holding midfield. So let's give him a bit more of a niche of how to play and see what he can do. And I think he could become very, very good. I mean, I say become very. It's weird to say become very, very good for us. He's played 242 games for us and had a good season last year. But I think we can potentially mould a system around him and see how it works. And then you got Kazushi, who again just reeks of playmaker. Passing 17, technique 18, vision 20, decision 16, anticipation 16, concentration's up there. Mentals are so good. First touch. So I'm thinking somehow between these three, I think we could play any sort of system we want, other than potentially a Segundo Volante, because none of them can shoot. But I think this is... And Kazushi probably should get the most game time out of all of them, because look at this. Loves big matches, a consistent performer, trains really well, still got room to grow, right level, versatile. Like, he's just incredibly good. He's got a competitive streak, so what? He's not got much pace, so what? He's like Luka Modric, 2-footed, loves to get on the ball, loves to spray the ball. Yeah, I'm really happy in holding midfield, if you can't tell. That's where I think we are very, very strong. Now, across the midfield in front of them, we've looked at Miguel, Akinde, Supreme, Kazushi. There's three people to look at here. We're only going to focus on two of them, which is Nunez and Crimson Mori, who are actually more in the attacking midfield role. So we'll look at them in here. So Nunez first. He's the younger of the two. Again, I think we could use him. He had 14 appearances for us last year. 5 last year, 6 there and 3 the year before. But he got 7.07, and I feel like we can utilise him in more detail. 2-footed, good passing, good technique, good vision. He's 26, so he's probably not going to improve too much more, but physically, he's a bit of a beast. He can win the ball. He's got good jumping reach, second ball knockdowns and things like that. Really, really good. I do think he can play a big part for us this year in this attacking midfield role, potentially, or a bit deeper as a playmaker. But passing and technique and first touch are all superb, so we're going to see what he can do. Again, finishing 3 is a little bit disappointing. But if you look at his positives, really consistent, loves training at the moment, or training really well, good passing technique, he's going to be good. Doesn't like big matches, which is a shame. But I don't know, for someone who could sit in that role, I think he's going to be pretty good. And he is competing with Crimson Mori, who is the club captain, worth more than him, really good in terms of big matches, like consistent performer. What's this one? Fans have great affinity towards him because he's a legend, isn't he? But again, passing 12, technique 16, vision 15. The mentals are really good. He is declining as a player. I don't know how much more he's got left in him. Jumping reach of 7 isn't the best. But 30 years old, our record appearance maker for 495 appearances. There's life in the old dog yet, and he'll be getting lots of football this year, I imagine, as well. So then we sort of move on to the wing positions, and we don't, as we saw, right, we don't really have midfield left and right. We have attacking midfield right and left. So that's what we'll have a look at now. And our first person to look at is key player Joel Pozzo. And when you see this, we sort of understand why he's our key player. I mean, acceleration 15, agility 15, stamina 16, pace 12, fitness 13. He's getting up and down the wing. Crossing and dribbling 15, first touch 16, passing 14, technique 18, off the ball 17, flair 17. He's brilliant. We need to get him in the game as much as possible, preferably on the right wing, but he's 2-footed, so he can play on either wing. He's a dream player for me because I love playing wide and getting the ball wide. He's going to be key. He's going to be starting, probably have the most appearances at the end of the season, other than maybe Joe Page in goal. Nailed on starter. Competition for him, we have Kyoka, 22 years old, fickle personality, but again, screaming attributes in the right place other than pace. Very, very annoying. But passing, technique, vision, off the ball, flair, decisions, dribbling, crossing. It's all there for a young player. These are a bit worried in the cons, but we try not to worry too much about that stuff. Sort of broke into the team over the last few seasons, a few games in the B team, stepped up, did okay. Hoping for a bit more from him when he plays this year. Could potentially be an option in behind the striker as well if we don't fancy Crimson Mori or Nunez, but we'll see how he develops. Next up then, Pedro Moreira. At one point, a wonder kid. He played for Spain very, very recently and looks superb, but also looks like could do so many roles. I don't know where to play him. Striker, right wing, left wing, not sure. Pace and acceleration 13 is decent. Jumping reach 12 is good for a winger. Great off the ball, great first touch, great finishing, great composure. Passing's great, technique's great, vision's great, dribbling, crossing corners is great. It's just like he could do anything. He could do anything. So he's definitely one I'm looking forward to understanding where you think he should play. Comes deep to get the ball is why I don't really want to play him up front, because I like a focal point up there. But potentially that could work if we mix up the system a little bit. But we shall see. Okay, next up we've looked at Crimson Mori, Jan Petric. Again, sorry for the cuts that are happening in this, but my throat is just starting to give out a little bit. Dribbling 14, finishing 13, first touch 13, passing 11, really good. But he's let down by his technique, not great, not brave, low concentration as well. However, physically, Jan Petric looks good. He's only 20 as well, but acceleration 18, pace 16, fitness 17, jumping reach 10, balance 12, all right-footed and loves to get into the area. Part of me is thinking potentially train him up on the left to be an inverted sort of forward or a winger, or play him on the right and try and get crosses sort of into him. Jumping reach 10 isn't brilliant, but his pace to get in behind could be really, really useful. I think certain systems can suit certain players we've got, and that's something I'll touch on in a minute, because also in the next episode we're going to go through sort of pre-season. I'll do some pre-season games off camera and we'll come back and do pre-season with a few games and highlights and things like that to try and explain how I want to play. But I think Jan's pace could really help us out going forward. Then we've got Inagio Mendoza, who a lot of you won't know, but I called him up towards the end of last season. 23 appearances, 10 goals for us. Did pretty well, actually. Played more than I thought, Inagio Mendoza, but did all right. All-round, very good average player. Like lots of 12s and 13s with a sprinkling of yellow high numbers in there, 16s and 17s. Again, it's one that I don't know where. We should probably play him quite a lot in terms of rotation, but I don't know where. Right-footed, reasonable left foot, can play as a forward, finishing 12. His off the ball's really good, his passing's decent, technique is decent, maybe like a complete forward, but lacks a bit of pace. On the wing, he lacks pace, but he can cross and he can dribble. So yeah, it's another one where it's a bit of an all-rounder, not sure if he's ever going to be good enough for the first team, especially with work rate 9, teamwork 10. But decent, can be very, very, very useful for the squad, but not too sure what his best position is at the moment. And then, of course, we have Miguel Moreno. Can play off the left, can play up front, gets goals. He's probably, if he stays at the club, because there are teams sniffing around and I keep saying they've got to pay his release fee, could probably end up being the record goal scorer for the club. Lots of games, lots of goals last year. Did really well. We sort of rotated in between the left and striker, and we'll do the same depending on the system, I think, for this year. Good jumping reach, good acceleration, good pace, good finishing, good composure. A truly wonderful player to have come through in a youth intake game, and he's really, really, really good. Don't really have to say too much else about him. And that leaves us with just the strikers. So, weirdly, we've already spoken about all of them because we don't have any others. So, that's it. So the conundrum I've got is all those players that are like striker wingers. We've got a lot of them. Who plays where is what I'm looking at. Now, when I say we're going into this not blind, we're going into this starting afresh, I've got rid of all of our systems. 2 DMs, call me maybe, they've gone. I'm starting afresh. I'm going to come up with certain things against certain tactics, and we're going to see how it plays and how it works, and I'll talk through that in the next episode with pre-season, when hopefully my voice is even better, and I don't have to keep doing edits to have a drink and clear my throat. But we're in a decent position. In the under-19s, we have some good players down here as well. Kenneth Hard is one at right back that could potentially get a few call-ups here and there for a bit of game time. We're looking at him. Jake Mills at centre-back is another one, but only 15, so we're going to have to watch his growth quite carefully. Sergio Vallejo is obviously our hot prospect in the youth team. Looks very, very good. So there's a few of them down here, and you'll notice All the new gens have got new names. I went through and sorted all that out. It had been a while since I did it. So Atliberge, Fintan Strait, Loic, Connor and Mocha all back in here as well. But yeah, we've got some good players down here, which I'm very excited about. Probably the main one I'm excited about is John Parsons, who I think will be coming up to the first team this year, even though he's only 17. His physicals are ridiculously good. His height, his jumping reach is amazing. Cross, dribbling, passing technique work great. He's the left winger I want to be getting onto the end of long basically an overhit cross. He heads it in at the back post. I don't want to rush him because he's 17, so hopefully a bit of rotation and things like that again. We'll see how it goes. But there are players in the Bs and the under-19s that we're going to be calling in and out of the first team to make up the numbers and give us options. So, that is the squad review that I wanted to do for the first episode in this season. We're going through it in much more detail. I do all the training properly anyway in the previous seasons, but we're going to do that properly, and I'm going to be resting people when they need it, do all the general rehab. We'll focus on training during pre-season as well, see what's going on there. Talk around some ideas and thoughts that I've got. We'll talk tactics in the next episode, but I need to give my throat a rest. So thank you so much for watching. Leave all your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed looking at everyone in the squad. Let me know your thoughts. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.